Hey guys, and welcome to another show and tell video. Now today's kind of bittersweet because it's really time to move on. I've been doing the Andrews collection, and you see on the thumbnail we have like a split screen with all those guns shown. 700 guns came in. I think today I need to close it up. I'm going to show you some more guns from the Andrews collection, and then I need to put them away. My floor has been covered with guns, trying to pick out things to show you, and it's time to put everything away. I'm sure I will show you more Andrews guns, but this will be the last in this Andrews series where I show you mostly Andrews guns. But first, let me start with a few accessories. This did not come from the Andrews collection, but came in the door a couple days ago. So this is a very rare vinyl party leader holster. I'm going to come up and show you up close and personal, but many of you have seen these before because I showed you one. In fact, I had it in a display case. I still do have that. I have it in a safe. And here, let me come in a little closer. When I showed you one previously, I think it's almost a year ago that I showed this to you. I talked about this being a prototype, and also that I don't want to bend these because they easily crack. I mentioned that almost every one I've ever seen is cracked across the top, and this one remained pretty much unscathed, but there's a little crack here. Now, I think I probably could open it up if I took a hairdryer and heated it up a little bit, obviously not to the point of melting, but if I pull that open, it's just very stiff. Also here, you see 3 stitches. That seems to be consistent. On the typical, this is a typical party leader holster, there's actually 4 or 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 here. I think they're all about 4 stitches across the top. This is minutia detail. Obviously, you can tell this is a tan leather. And there's the party leader Eagle. And this goes to a PPK, and it's marked as such. So this is a party leader PPK holster. Very, very desirable and getting much harder to find, made by ACA. I'm not sure who made these. They're not ACA marked, but again, I think they're experimental. And a PPK does fit in here. Obviously, there's a little extra room at the bottom compared to the ACA holster. And I think that's because you really couldn't jam the gun down in there. In fact, from the impression, it looks like it stops right about here. So it had another ½ inch to go. There's the Eagle. And again, this is experimental, very, very rare. Only a high-end collector would want one because you'd put this on display, and it's not something that you could ever really use in terms of putting a gun in. Okay, one more grouping of accessories, and this did come from the Andrews collection. You know, in the last video I said he really liked police guns. Remember the police figurines? And there were a lot of police guns. In fact, I think most of the German guns were some form of police gun, including the railway guards. I showed you a gun. Actually, here it is. I showed you this gun, which is a railway police. You see here Bonschutz and RBD, Stuttgart 1940. And then this was the gun. It's ACA holster. So this is a PP holster. And the railway guns are distinct in that it's marked 1940, as is the holster. The serial number is on the frame and the slide, much like the SS guns, but I pointed out these are not SS. And then it has a numbered magazine, which is on the side, not on the spine. So I showed you that before, but this is basically a railway guard. And they did patrol the railroads because they were actually stopping soldiers and checking for their identity papers to make sure they were on furlough and not running away from the Russian front. I don't know why I pick on the Russian front. You could also run away from the Western front. But they would check the ID of soldiers, but also looking for Jews who are trying to escape or political enemies that they wanted to track down. So the trains were basically heavily guarded. Now this is some of the, I found after I went through all the guns, I found these in a bag. These are shoulder tabs for the railway police. So this would go on their uniform. Here's actually a picture of a uniform of the railway police. But this is up close. You can see these were probably never issued because it does not look like they were sewn onto anything. But you can see it's basically a railroad wheel with a wing on it. That was the insignia. And we're just going to put this all in one grouping and sell it all together. The piping, I believe, went on their shoulder. Actually, I don't know what that goes to. Somebody will tell me. You guys are smart. especially if you collect railway police. Here we go again. I had a case of the dropsies. Not a dropping holster, but this is the belt buckle. Kind of cool. I don't collect these, but I do enjoy showing them to you, and then some of you guys will, somebody will just absolutely love this. This then would go to the hat. So this is the railway insignia that would go on their hat or visor. And then finally, this is an armband in green, Reichsbaum. So these all come together in one grouping, and if you're interested, check it out on our website. Okay, next I picked out an unusual gun because this one is American. It is U.S. military, and as I said before, Andrews didn't have a lot of U.S. weapons, but here's something from the United States military that has some history to it, and anyway, it's pretty unusual. Check this out. Okay, so first off is the box, and you can see this is a high standard. It's a Model B in .22 caliber. People use it for target shooting or target practice. This one has the military cartouche, which is the cross cannon, so it went to the military. Now, why was the military buying these 22s? Well, their preferred weapon, and by the way, almost all of these went to the U.S. Navy. They were using it, again, for target practice, for training troops. Their preferred gun was the Colt Ace. You can see one here. It looks just like the 1911 and functioned like the 1911, and therefore they preferred to buy these for target practice for the troops, and that was across all branches of service. But the more Colt Aces they made, the less 1911 Colts they could make, actually 1911A1, the fewer they could make. So basically they were clamoring for everything, and this was in about 1942 when they're really ramping up to get more guns. They decided to take, this was a commercial model, and they called up and said, hey, can we have some of these? Again, they preferred the Colt Ace, but they said, we'll take this high standard 22. This is the inside of the box. You do see here the serial number is written right here. And here is the gun itself. And this is just in brand new condition. Again, I'm sure it went to the Navy. I'm sure it stayed in this box and was never issued. So you can see high standard grips. It comes in .22 caliber, very simple action. You can see at the top, very hard to see. I think Randy can get a photo of that. And if you can't read that, it says property of U.S. Also, on the other side, you do see, whenever you see that cross-cannon cartouche, it's almost always misstruck, meaning it's heavier on one side than the other. They didn't agonize over this, they just banged it on there. So this was accepted into the military for target practice. The serial number was on the front strap, and that was typical of the high standard. They also made one with a longer barrel. We've actually sold those in the past. Certainly never one of this caliber. Oh, there's a joke for you. 22 caliber. We've sold them in this caliber, but not in this condition. In this book by Meadows, 3/4 way through the book, they actually have a lot of the history of this gun. You can see here's a boxed one. They have the serial number here, same place. They have the cartouche here. Here is the gun itself. You can see almost the exact same gun. Again, from 1942 to 1945, they made about 13,000 of these, a little bit over. And here's the ladies all lined up, and these would be, I guess, waves, the Women Navy Corps. And you can see they're all lined up for target practice with their .22 caliber high standards. You can see why it would be particularly a favorite of the women. There wouldn't be much recoil, but it was a good way to teach them how to shoot. I think that was a sexist statement. I need to be more gender neutral. So speaking of box guns, we have another one. Here we have a star, and the model is SI, and this was a police gun, and it comes with a kind of a capture document, actually a bring back papers. Let me show you, because that sounds really unusual. This was actually made in 1952, and you can see a person's name that actually says Hedelson. And we'll give you his story in a little bit. There's the serial number of the gun, just like the other one. It's written on the outside of the box, but this one is also written on the label on the side. So there's the serial number. It is .32 caliber. Model is SI. Not sure what that stands for, but I now know that somebody's going to comment and tell me. Now, this was brought back from Germany by James Hedelson. You can see that right here. He read, that was in 1965. Again, the gun was made in 42. He was a military policeman, so he came to West Germany after the war was over, helping to, I guess, retrain their military and their police. And this would have to have been given to him as a gift. Now, Hedelson is probably a German name. He's an American for sure, but German descent. And it seems like he made friends among the German policemen there. Let me show you the gun. That's actually really what you're interested in. Here's the gun itself. Let me pull it out. By the way, it comes with 2 magazines. You see the spare inside of the box, but let's put that away. Got to balance everything on my legs. Now, this is all matching, and pretty much every part is numbered. So, again, made in Spain. It's a star. There you go. They have both 32 and 7.65, so there's no dispute about that. Serial number here. Now, even the magazines are numbered, and they're numbered in an unusual spot, right on the toe of the magazine. I believe it's just the last 3 digits. Let's check it out. Yep. So 2 matching magazines. And again, would have to be a gift given to Hedelson by the guys that he got to know. And that's a presumption on our part, but it's a beautiful gift. Now, you do see there is the police marking LPN, which I believe is the Land Police. Somebody, again, will correct me on that one if I'm wrong. But it's a beautiful gun with just a little bit of schmutzy right there. So I wanted to show that to you. It's just something that we don't get in very often. But again, it is from the Andrews collection. It's a police gun, but this one went to a military police officer from the United States serving in West Germany. Okay, now I have some box guns that are a little bit more in my wheelhouse because this is a 38H, actually one of the earliest ones in the original box. The box would be in good condition except for that flap is missing, and that's a shame. I wish I had the flap around here somewhere. I'd glue it back on, but it came like this. Serial number is written on the inside of the box right there. Kind of looks original just because it looks Germanic. But when they're pencil marked, obviously somebody could have added that later. This is what the cleaning rod looks like for the Sauer 38H. And I can already tell you it's a commercial gun because the military ones did not come in these boxes. This was only for the commercial guns. Let me pull that out of the cellophane. I've shown you these before. Sauer, I mentioned, this is early on. So the earliest ones were 1939. Most of them were made after 1940 and thereafter. But the manual, one of the things that I thought unique about the manual, they're very, very rare because, again, they only come with the commercial guns. But what I found unique was this marketing strategy. You see here the SA, I believe the Luftwaffe, the police, there's Navy, and not sure about this one, but they have one of every branch of service because they were going to the military procurement people, basically trying to get them to buy large numbers. But they pretty much were already in the pocket of Walther, who were getting most of the contracts for the police and the military and the Luftwaffe. But this was Sauer's attempt to come up with a pistol to rival the PPK. They did, of course, the SA did buy some were gifted, but they never had the success that the Walther PP and PPK had. Let's look at the gun itself. The tin is similar, except it does have the SS, was not as in the military SS, but rather Sauer and Sons. That's the logo. And you can see the same kind of oil bottle and the cleaning rag, and that's to go through the bore of the gun when you clean it out. So there's the original tin. And again, much like the PPK, obviously they were copying a lot of the ideas. They had the 3 dummy rounds, and we've seen that in the PP and PPK. The bottom had the logo, and it's an intertwined SS. So here's the gun itself, and I've shown you these boxed Sauers before, actually once before about a year ago, and I haven't had access to one, meaning I only see one of these box guns maybe once a year. So PPs and PPKs new in the box come up a lot more often. You see here the crown end and that's actually one of the earliest serial numbers. The crown end, it's basically near the end of 39, and then full production really started in 40. So, 99% of them, more than 99% are going to be eagle end. This is one of the rare crown ends. So it's an early gun, and again, commercial, because if it was military, it would have, military or police would be marked right here. In fact, here's a picture of one that we've had on the website, and they have, it's Waffen 37 for the military, and then you'll see a Eagle C or Eagle F for the police. I've shown these features before, but they're very unique. I like them a lot. I think it's in some ways much easier than the Walther PP and PPK design. You just push this down. On the PPs and PPKs, you pull the trigger guard down, but you pull that down and it just pops right off. You don't even have to have the magazine out. And you see the enclosed firing pin. Spring and everything is a lot like the PP, PPK. And then the other unique feature, see that's how my gloves get ruined. I get them caught. Makes me feel like Mickey Mouse again. Put the slide back on, pop it up, and you're ready to go. But this is cocked now because you can see the trigger back, and this then would decock it. Very simple. You cock it and decocker. But you can also, if you have a lot of thumb strength, sometimes it's not real easy, you can cock it and decock it just with this little lever. So it makes for a nice little pistol, which has a really good action to it. But again, this is 1939, very rare, high polish finish. Forgot to show you matte finish in the back. I've talked about that before. If it's been refinished, this will all be high polish. In this case, it's all original, matte, and then high polish finish. Beautiful gun in the original box, numbered by pencil to the gun. Okay, one last box gun, not one last gun. I have a lot. I got more guns to show you, and I have a grand finale right down there. So stay tuned for the grand finale. You know, that's what I do with the fireworks. I always say, do you want to leave before the crowds? And my wife says, no, you got to stay for the grand finale. So hang on. This is a boxed commercial P38. Now, I see these again, just like the box sour, we see these very rarely. Maybe you've seen the box before, but they're only the commercial guns. The other ones came in crates. In fact, in a future video, I'll show you a crate that they shipped the P38s in, because we got 2 of them. So I'll show you that. That's out on the front porch. That'll be another video. These came in a mustard color, and just like the other Walthers, you can see that the P38 is embossed on the cover. These are actually quite flimsy, which is another reason they're rare, is most times they just got tossed aside. They're extremely flimsy. It's just, it almost feels like a manila folder. It's about that thick. There is a number written in there, but again, it's numbered by pencil, matches the gun, but you know, you really don't know for sure if that was added later, but certainly this gun, which is a commercial P38, came in a box like this, and this may be the original box. Okay, let's take a look at the gun itself. First of all, the cleaning rod, this actually goes to a 22 caliber PP or PPK. So this does not belong in here, but it came in here. It also has a tin exactly like the PP and PPK. I don't know what's in it, so let's check it out. This is the later variation because this gun, oh, actually this gun is early. This gun was made in about 1940. And there you go. The tin has the bottle and the rag, and then the whatever that is, I call horsehair, but it may not be. The horsehair that cleans the bore. So this is an intact, got my thumb again. This is an intact cleaning tin, but it would be the same as you would find in a PP and PPK, so they just reuse the same items. And then the gun itself. So this is a Mod HP, which is a commercial version. You can see the high polish finish. Beautiful gun, 1940 grips. No Waffen stamps, but it does have the eagle end here and here. And at first you can't tell. Most of you are looking and say nothing special. It's just a standard P38. But this looks like all the finish is gone. Unless you collect these, in which case you say, I wonder if that is Dural, meaning aluminum. So best way to tell is I take my cheap little magnet, spared no expense for this, and you can see the magnet sticks. But here it sticks. And that's because, hold on, it's sticking to the magazine. Let's try this, and it better work. Otherwise, it's going to be embarrassing. Oh, there it goes. Lost my magnet. I'll do that one more time. It doesn't stick at all. So this is aluminum with the with the magazine in it. It will stick because it goes right through the aluminum. They experimented just like the PPs and PPKs, but with 9mm. They experimented. It didn't work real well because the frames did not hold up. They cracked, and so those experiments were discontinued, making this a very rare gun. One other factoid about the box P38, it would have come with a manual. We have had those P38 manuals. They're extremely rare. They sell easily in the $500 range, but that particular one did not come with a manual, but should have had a manual with it. So while we're on P38s, let me show you some really unique guns, and also will help answer some questions about the early P38s. So here's two early ones. Most of you know the first military P38s were 0 series. They call them 0 series because the serial number starts with a 0. This is gun number 714, and this is a variation 1. At least it's typically been called variation 1. Some people have added some variations, but we're going to go with variation 1. You see the proof marks, which means it was accepted for the military. That's Eagle 359. It has the early grips. The grips would be numbered to the gun, by the way. You do see some wear there, but that's not aluminum. That is steel, just worn down from somebody not using their Mickey Mouse gloves. Now, this one in particular, what you'll notice, actually, you may not have noticed, but there's no extractor right here. So extracting the bullet shell, that is missing. It goes right there. There is an internal extractor, which did not work very well. So only the first 1,000 have two early features. One, hidden extractor. Let me just show you the extractor. Here's a variation 2. There's the exposed extractor. And this one is very rare, first 1,000 or so. Hidden extractor, and it has a rectangular firing pin. Now, that might be hard to see, but we'll see if we can get a picture of that for you. That's the rectangular firing pin, and that's what the vast majority, 99.9%, have the round firing pin, which was changed after the second variation, which is at about 2,000 to 3,000 is a second variation, and then it went to the round firing pin for the million or so guns they made after that. Now let me show you a variation 2. Here's a variation 2, and this generally these are about 2,000 to 3,000. Again, there's some flexibility in there, but a variation 2, they changed the extractor right away to the exposed extractor because it wasn't working as consistently as it should, so they made that change. But they kept the rectangular firing pin. You can probably see that one a little bit better. So it has the early firing pin. So the variation 2 is just unique because of that firing pin, which is a small thing you wouldn't notice unless you knew the serial number ranges. Now this also is milled out right here. What in the world was milled out? Well, that was a mystery for a long time. And some of you have heard of the 480 codes. Later, Walther used a 480 code, and for some reason, I can't explain it, they had 480 here, and then somebody said, oh, that's a stupid mistake, let's take those off. So you find a lot of these in this early serial range will have a milled out 480. So check this out. Mystery solved what was underneath there. I think this is pretty cool. This is a local collector, had this one. You can see, here's the 480. And they even started it looks like they started to mill it out. And again, so there's a lot of correction going on in this factory. First they said, who put that 480 on there? What idiot did that? So they said, hurry up and mill that out. So they milled it out. The next guy started to mill it out because he just got yelled at. And they said, what are you doing? I'm milling it out. Stop, don't mill it out. So they started to mill it out and left it there. You know, Walther factory must have been an interesting place to work. And you'll notice the serial number is also in the 2000, well, 02,000 to 3,000, 0 to 3,000. It was issued to the military. And it has exposed extractor. This gun is actually really beautiful. And it has the rectangular firing pin. So again, I borrowed this from a local collector. It's a very rare gun in incredible condition. One other thing I should tell you about is the magazines. They did come with 2 matching magazines. This one is unnumbered, but as I remember, this first variation, so 0714, and by the way, the grips are also marked inside 714 and they're Waffen stamped, and the magazine is marked 0714. So this has a matching magazine. They originally came with 2 matching magazines, and they were numbered on the side, whereas you know from the 1940, 1941, and some 1942 were actually numbered on the bottom. Well, actually, here's an example of a bottom numbered 41 and a bottom numbered 42. Those are just examples. Really hard to find them with matching magazines, especially when they're this early. Okay, it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. What was this prop all about? I've had this behind me, and some of you may have wondered, and that's because of this Waffen 162 marking on a Beretta. These are unicorns. I've shown you unicorns before, mythical beasts. For a lot of publications, they say this Waffen stamp does not actually exist. They're all fake. And the ones that are Waffen 63 I've seen different Waffen stamps that don't fit the Italian factory. The right one is supposed to be Waffen 162, and this one I've determined is real. Now, I've handled a dozen of these, and almost all of them have been fake. When they're real, they sell for a lot of money because they're very, very rare. Now, what's unusual to me on this is there's a 4UT, which is a German proof, and then the Waffen proof. One of the reasons I believe this is real, because the one that is recorded by, one of the experts in our country and writing a book on the topic, if you look at his Waffen stamp, you see that the top, on this side of the eagle, the top line and the bottom line are fairly visible, but the 2 lines in the middle are very, very faint. And if we get a really good shot of here, we can see that is the same stamp. And the serial number is also, it's not real close, but it's fairly close. This is 576, and that's 572. So anyway, I believe this is a real one, and I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 in my life, and as I said, they're very rare and very expensive because collectors who want one of everything, they really want this gun. All right, I have a Luger to show you. I'm going to show you Luger, a couple PPKs, and then the grand finale. Aren't you guys excited? I am. So here we have a K-date. Now, again, first year of production was 1934 for the Mauser Luger. The Mauser Luger, the early code was S42, and as soon as you see that Gothic S, you know this is a K-date, because later they went to a contemporary S, and so the S42 will be a little different. Only the K-date, the early K-dates, are going to have that Gothic S42. And then, of course, K, which was a factory code. We've talked about this before. They were trying to hide from the Allies production, where production was, how many they were making. So the K date was a code, the G date was code for 35, and then in 36 they said, what the heck, and they just started putting the dates on it. K date has unique proofs, only K dates have the S, and then there's several different military proofs, but they are unique to the K date. Very desirable guns. You see the small, the straw colored small parts, and every part has that S. You can see the Extractor has the S, the trigger, that's the mag release button, everything has the S. There's an S under here, which is hard to see. There's an S right here. And basically that's just an inspector code. The magazine is also S marked. And the gun is almost matching, but not quite. There's a proof on the bottom, which is an oval 37. Again, that's unique to the K-date and very desirable. The magazine alone can be $500 just because they're really hard to find. But here's what makes this so unique. This is a Kriegsmarine, so issued to the Navy. That's a Craigsmarine Weimar Eagle, the M for Marine in Germany, that was the Navy. Now, that's different than the funky chicken. You remember the funky chicken? And that's the G-date eagle. This is a K-date eagle, which you will see on the, most of the Weimar Navy guns will have this style eagle as opposed to the Nazi eagle. So again, the Navy had not adopted the Nazi eagle yet, they did later, but here you have a Weimar eagle and an M. I believe they only made about 200 of these and a few survivors, but this is a very rare gun. And of all the guns I'm showing you today, I believe this is going to be the most expensive one in this grouping. Okay, now back to my bread and butter. I'm showing you two PPKs. These are very early. In fact, for a very long time, this gun was considered the earliest known PPK. Let me show you. Well, if you follow my videos, you know from looking at PPs, early PPs, they started in 29, and the serial number was reversed. On most of them, the serial number reads this way, but on the early PPs and PPKs, the serial number is reversed. This gun was made in 1930, and you know they started production of PPs in 29 at serial number 750000. So this is 9,000 guns into it, they started making the PPK. And in fact, this is in several books and several publications talk about this is the earliest known serial number, but since then, we've found at least 6 to 10 earlier PPKs. But what's interesting is when I look at my database, the ones that come earlier, and by the way, they date all the way back, the numbering goes all the way back to 756, so 3,000 earlier than this. They do have examples of PPKs, but what's interesting is the logo says Mod PP. So in other words, they used a stencil, they acid etched that. The stencil, they only had a PP stencil, so they went ahead and put it on there. So this is the first one that I know of that has the Mod PPK stencil. Before this, it'll be a PPK, but say Mod PP. So again, kind of a factory error, but they just didn't bother doing it. I guess they were making them to see if they would become popular, and they were. So they said, let's make a stencil just for the PPK. So there you have it. Again, early feature is the 90-degree safety versus 60-degree. Also, the earliest guns, the grip goes from left to right, and later they go from right to left. Also, if I take this grip off, I would almost bet my house there is no metal insert, because the earliest ones did not have the metal insert. They added that later in order to add strength to keep them from warping. And then finally, the early feature is this slab side magazine, and then the banner only. So the slab magazine is, again, very expensive by itself, very early, and for a long time, this was the first known production of a Walther PPK. Now, this one is also early, and it went to the bank. Now, let's see, is it reversed? It's not reversed. So by 777, this is not reversed. But the bank guns, they were ordered by the bank, sent to the bank arsenal, where they were numbered on the slide. And that is numbered vertically as opposed to horizontally right here. So this is not factory numbered, but it is numbered at the bank arsenal. This one is probably about 1931, 32 caliber. They also made bank guns in 22 caliber. Now you see the indentation. Again, that is the slab side, and that is the indented that you see most of the time. And both of these are solid color. And again, that's an early variation. Later, it just had the mottled look, the swirl, the black and brown swirl. This is solid color. And if you look really carefully, the bank guns will have numbered mags on the side, and it's on the right-hand side. And that matches the gun. So this is a bank gun with a matching mag, very desirable, very early. And still, the screw goes from left to right, but I would bet a lot that this one has the metal insert, because they added that pretty quickly. So just some of the different variations that you see in the early Walther PPKs. One more PPK. This actually is a secret police or state police security gun that is in the book. And by the way, so let's do the book first. The Walther SS Contract PPKs, the book was due in today. We did hear from the printer that they're delayed till next week. Now, I hope this is not a broken record, that in fact they are here next week. For those of you who ordered, the day they come in, I will sign them and get them out to you. But we have our fingers crossed that they will be in next week. There's no reason why they shouldn't. There shouldn't be any more delays. But so in this book, I obviously talk about the different contracts. And then I talked about, well, are there any others that could have gone to state security? And I talk about the police guns. But this one in particular, and there's several of these, as you can see on the grip strap, it's marked STPS. And people who study these things, this is the 106th gun that was issued to the state police, and it's state security. So the state is not like we use the word state. The state is the government, the Reichsstate. So this is to the secret police, and it's gun number 106. There are others that are known. And I just wanted to show it to you because it's a very rare variation. This actually harkens back to the Peter collection out of California. I got this from him and did put it in the book. I meant to show it to you and never did. It's fairly early. This would coincide with like some of the, just after the RZMs. So this is 1935. Again, the serial number production dates are also in the book. If you want to order them, they are available on Amazon, and as I said, I will have them next week, but we're taking orders now. So 1935, beautiful finish, again, worthy of Peter's collection, and now worthy of my collection. You do see the 90-degree safety. Oh, there we go, look at that. By 1935, the grip screw is going from right to left. And banner-only magazine in beautiful condition. There are a few unusual marks right here, which are inspector proofs or police markings. I'm not sure. But the other ones that are known have the same kind of markings there, so not sure what that is. And then the unique front strap marking. So I participated in an auction recently. Those of you who knew about this auction were probably bidding against me because I got bid up on every one of these. But this was an opportunity to own a Polish VIS, also known as the Radom, also known as the Radom. Tomato, I get corrected every time I say it, but certainly in Europe they call it the VIS, and in the United States they call it the Radom or Radom. Whatever you call it, this is a Polish made gun in the town of Radom, or Radom, and they had one of every year, 36, 37, 38, and 39. Check these out. Okay, so starting in 1936, this looks exactly like the ones that were used during the Nazi occupation. They are slotted for the stock lug. These do come with the black grip, and later on they had a wooden grip that they used because they were running out of, well, we know from other factory production, they're running out of the plastics. This has the Polish Eagle crest on it, and it is marked 1936. Very low production in 1936, only went to Polish officers, and you can see here the serial number ranges, so they made a couple thousand in 1936. But it's not the rarest date. The rarest date is actually the 37. So you can see this one, somebody put the white wax pencil in. Again, it's a dust blue polish, which is different than what the Nazi occupation used when their production. They used first a high polish finish and then just a military dull finish. There's D2 proofs. And then also on the bottom of the magazine, you'll see a G2 proof. All of these have the correct magazine and are in pretty good condition. One of the keys with these is to check the barrels because often the barrels were swapped out later. And then some of these will come with a Polish Eagle and then a Nazi proof somewhere on it with Eagle 77, which just means they were in the factory when the factory was captured, and so the Germans accepted it into their military. Many of them went to the Waffen-SS. Here is the 1938. This one is in slightly better condition. Oh, I started to say the 37 is the rarest. I don't know what the production numbers are. You can look them up really quickly. There's a book on Radoms that we offer. Let's see what the serial number. Yeah, this goes up to about 8,000, but this is the rarest of all the dates, the 37. Oh, and when I did the video, I actually did a video about this. The reason they are so rare is because in 37, they focused on making rifles. So the factory was busy making rifles, and so they kind of slowed down production of these pistols. So the 37 is most desirable for collectors and will be the most expensive of these four. 38, they made a lot more of them, and so 38 and 39 are the most common. And this is a beautiful gun. You see this. That's because if you look at the holster, there's a little bump in the holster. When it goes in the holster, there's a piece of leather that hits right here. And so you'll see that. If it was in the holster, there you go. There it is on there. And there it is on there, slightly smaller. And this one we'll talk about. It's not there at all. I'm going to talk about this one next. So 38. And again, we want to double check. Now we're into 21,000, so they've made at least 21,000 of these by 1938. And then in 39, of course, the Germans came in September of 39. The Germans came in and took over the factory. Now this one, it was sold as all original finish. And for me, it looks almost too good to be true. But you can see the logo doesn't fill, the logo is very thin. And this does not look filled in at all to me. So that's a good sign. Also, the stamps are clear, and they don't look restamped to me. They look original. You can see the logos here. They look exactly the same. I'll turn it a little bit so you get an idea. But one thing that I noticed, this was never holstered because it doesn't have that little swipe here. So that makes me a little bit nervous about the finish. Really, absolutely beautiful. Again, it's a dust blue, which Mauser used dust blue with the K date and the G date, and then changed to a different bluing process. But here you see no wear on the trigger, where there's no wear here, which you would expect to see. So it makes me a little bit nervous that this has been professionally refinished, but it was done in such a way it's absolutely beautiful. See the fire blue in the screws? They originally did have fire blue. You can see that on this one. This has like a fire blue here. And also, this one has a fire blue button back here, or niter blue, again slotted. And the serial number goes up to, we're up to 31,000. So the factory in Radom, Poland, they made just over 30,000, and then when the Germans came in, they took over the factory, and they really loved the design. This is a great design, very innovative, and the Polish people are very proud of their Radoms, their VIS, I should say, and they should be. And that's one of the reasons they're so expensive. You can see the G2 proof. One of the reasons they're so expensive is because the Polish people like to collect these. And so do I. I love this one, might keep it for myself, but absolutely stunning gun. I've never seen a better one. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And if you're so led, go on and order a copy of the book as well. I want to say a special thank you to Don Andrews and his family. Don collected guns for many years, really specialized in these police guns, but we got, the collector community is really happy to share his treasures. He went through a lot of heartache when Katrina came through and ruined a lot of his guns. I can't imagine as a collector coming in a month after the hurricane hit and seeing all your guns just rusted out. Some of them obviously came through it just fine, but a lot of guns were ruined. So to Don and his family, thank you for your collection. We will treat them with honor and respect.